Some folks I met the other day were absolutely adamant that their great plan was to deal directly with the listing agent to make sure that they could get a house. Now, I don't know if they're going to be successful in doing that or not, but I do know there are two people who will be incredibly happy if they do. Number one is the listing agent themselves, and number two will be the office manager of that listing agent. Now, the reason they're going to be so happy is not because the principal's interests were so vigorously sought out and defended. It is going to be because of the double commission. So, is it a good idea for a buyer to seek out and deal directly with the listing agent to try to get a house? I think it is a terrible idea. And there are 5 reasons for that. And all 5 of these reasons, one way or another, are going to come into play every time a buyer tries to do it, whether they know it or not. And I'm actually stating this as a listing agent in a house that I've got listed right now. It's a terrible idea. Take a look at these 5 reasons. Number 1, fiduciary responsibility. Before the buyer ever meets that listing agent has already promised the seller to get the very best possible results, price, terms, and everything like that. And one way or another, that listing agent is going to make every effort they can to keep that promise. Oh, no, I can make it fair for both parties. I've done this before. Said a spider to the fly. Number 2, misaligned agendas. A listing agent is not going to be focused on getting the right house for the buyer or what is right for the buyer in the transaction. They're going to try to make sure that the buyer closes on this particular house regardless of whether or not it's the right one. Also, if there's a problem in the escrow with the house itself, a repair request or something comes up, or who knows what it is that agent going to say like, hey, by the way, we need to get out of this transaction? It's the right thing for you? Of course not. The agenda of the listing agent will be totally at cross purposes with that of their buyer. Number 3, divided loyalty. The buyer is never going to really know the nature of the relationship between the listing agent and the sellers and how they themselves fit within that. So what if the seller is an investor that does tons of business with that agent, or a longtime client that's had multiple transactions, or if it's a family member or something like that? The buyer's never going to know how they fit in and where the divided loyalty is going to be. Because no matter what, the listing agent, if they see that their bread is going to be better buttered in the future by the seller, they're not going to be looking out for that buyer, and the buyer will never ever know. Number 4, coach versus referee. Even in the best of double-ending circumstances, the agent is supposed to act like a neutral referee, a Switzerland between the parties. But when a buyer is entering into it as probably the largest financial transaction of their life, do they want a referee, or do they actually want a coach? Somebody that knows the rules, that has done this a bunch of times before, that can advise them on the strategies through the process? Or do they want a referee that is neutral and can't really take an opinion one way or another? Of course, in the big game, you want a coach. Number 5, competency dice rolling. What if the listing agent for the house is a total moron or a complete newbie? What then? We just found out our agent has never done this before. What do we do now? See, these are the kind of problems that can come up, and sometimes a buyer may not even know about them. So it's more than just about the purchase price, although that can be something itself. There's a whole host of other factors all the way along that can be a huge, big problem. Even a minor thing like a repair request. In the middle of the transaction, there's all kinds of information that is shared. And it would be impossible for the listing agent to not be tempted one way or another to somehow use that information, even if accidentally. Hey, you know what? Go ahead and ignore this repair request because these guys have to buy this house. They've looked at 5 other ones and she wants to have a baby. Who knows how it is? But even that little thing right there can cost money. Another way to look at it is like this. Thought experiment. You get hit by a UPS truck, and there's injuries, bodily injuries, maybe your wife, your kids, another family member's injured, the car is injured, and then you get a call from the UPS law firm saying, hey, we have an incredible negotiated settlement for you. We just need you to sign right here. Would you ever in a million years just take their offer? Of course not. You would go out and find the very best attorney that you possibly could to, number one, maybe improve the settlement, and number two, to make sure that you're not signing anything that's ridiculous. Why is purchasing real estate any different? So I have a solution for home buyers that are actually thinking about this as a potential avenue. It starts out with my home buyer strategy session. And in that, we'll discuss the system that I've developed over the years to help a buyer find the right house in the timing that's right for them, and the 5 strategies that I use to make sure they don't have to pay $1 more than they need to for the house that they want. You can call me 949-413-2371. You can email me, michael@houseofgroup.com. And if you're watching this on YouTube, over my left shoulder, there's been a little letter I. If you click on that, that will take you to a website where you can find out more information about my home buyer strategy session, the systems that I use. Thanks so much for watching.